Good evening and welcome to the evening news for today, Wednesday, March 15, 2023. I am Jemima Holmes. Thank you for tuning in. Now let's take a look at some of the lead stories tonight. EU injects over $1 billion to save Guyana's forests, develop indigenous communities. FAO finds untapped demand for Seabob in Guyana. Father of 4 dies in car crash near ESSEQUIBO coast home. More shoppers urged to seek redress as Consumer Affairs resolves 87% of complaints in 2022, and Guyana updates Commonwealth on border case with Venezuela. Now for the news in detail. The Guyana government this morning signed a $1.1 billion deal with the European Union to increase forest preservation activities in the country, as well as to foster sustainable development within local communities that are dependent on the forests for their livelihoods. Here is Vanu Manichand with our lead story tonight.
The €10 million Sustainable Forest Livelihoods for the Communities of Guyana and Suriname project was launched Wednesday morning in both countries, injecting €5 million each to strengthen capacity development and sustainable livelihood in and around forest-dependent communities. At the State House in Georgetown, the contract was signed by President Dr. Irfan Ali and Deputy Secretary General of the European External Action Service, Helena Koenig. According to the EU official, this project is aimed at increasing the resilience of local forest populations and increasing their value-added outputs, specifically through the development of sustainable income generation activities.
I can only highlight once again how important it is to work together with the local communities in the forest to make sure that this is sustainable also in their environment. This project will provide support to local forest communities to increase knowledge, capacity, and for the use of and supply of nature-based goods and services. It will also provide and improve skills, working practices, equipment, as well as market links and access to finance. The project will also support alternative livelihoods in forest-dependent communities in order to reduce pressure on forest resources.
Meanwhile, in his remarks, President Ali lauded the EU along with its implementing partners, France-based AFD and WWF GUYANA'S, for translating forest preservation commitments into meaningful action on the ground.
This partnership with ADF and WWF is underpinned by a focus on what works, moving to create practical solutions to development challenges, and addressing the vital role that forests play in overcoming these challenges. Sustainable livelihoods sit at the heart of this endeavor, as when we create the opportunities for people for economic advancement and social upliftment, we provide them with resources to make decisions to safeguard the environment and protect the forests.
According to the head of state, this project falls in line with the Guyana government's low-carbon development strategy that is geared towards sustainable development, as well as to lay the foundation for other forested countries.
Guyana looks to provide a practical example to the world on how the environment, forests, freshwater, and biodiversity in particular must be safeguarded to sustain mankind and life as we know it. We also look to develop new ways of incentivizing the global fight to safeguard forests. The main actions identified to be advanced by this cooperation will look to strengthen sustainable livelihoods in forest communities and enhance knowledge and capacity for sustainable use and supply of nature-based goods and services.
Reporting for the Evening News, Vanu Manichand.
Vanu Manichand joins us again to report that while there is a strong demand from overseas markets in the United States and Europe, a recent study in Guyana conducted by the Food and Agriculture Organization has highlighted the opportunities for local Seabob operators to tap into unmet domestic demand. Here is more.
Under a 10-year development strategy for a healthy future of Guyana's Seabob shrimp value chain, which was endorsed in May 2022, the FAO's Fish for ACP project has completed an assessment report in which it highlighted, among other things, ways of promoting artisanal fisheries. Among the key opportunities the report outlined is the strong domestic demand for fresh seabob that can be sold to restaurants and supermarkets. This opportunity, it noted, can be tapped into by artisan or traditional fishing operators. The report states, quote, "Consumer surveys suggest that there is untapped demand for seabob in Guyana, as consumers sometimes cannot find seabob products on the market when looking for them. Although seabob unavailability or unreliability of supply is largely due to the declining catch, various value-adding opportunities exist for artisanal actors, including fishers, processors, and market vendors, to better tap into the unmet domestic demand." End quote. These potential options include increasing and improving the quality of cleaning, peeling, and storing seabob to provide consumers with higher quality and thus higher value products, and to enter higher value markets such as supermarkets and the hospitality industry such as hotels and restaurants. This is one of two marketing strategies that were highlighted in the report for the local industrial and artisanal channels. With regards to industrial operators, the report states there continues to be a high demand from the US and European markets for more high-value seabob, which can be better capitalized on if the biological stock issues can be addressed and bigger shrimps can be caught. It said, quote, "Given that the United States of America and the European Union are currently the two most important export markets for Guyanese seabob, and demand remains strong, they will continue to be the main export markets for the Guyanese seabob industry in the future." End quote. According to the report, however, due to the stringent market requirements such as MSC certification and the small amount of seabob captured by the artisanal fishers, these major export markets cannot be the target markets for the artisanal operators, at least for the next decade. Reporting for the Evening News, Vanu Manakchand.
A 14-day-long consultative period began today following government's release of the new draft model production sharing agreements for both deep and shallow oil blocks, in keeping with its commitment to govern the oil and gas sector in full transparency. Gerald Bryan reports.
The model contracts were released on Tuesday by the Ministry of Natural Resources, and they will serve as a blueprint for all future agreements. The ministry also assured that the terms in the agreements were reached after intense research and analysis by both internal and external experts. It was noted that the model PSAs were designed to create greater benefits for Guyana while not disincentivizing potential investors. Meanwhile, the terms of the PSAs include the previously mentioned royalty rate of 10%. Also included is a 50-50 profit-sharing mechanism after cost oil is deducted. According to the draft agreements, the cost recovery ceiling has been lowered to 65% from the previous 75%. Oil companies, including the contractor, affiliated companies, subcontractors, and individuals, will also be subject to the Income Tax Act and Corporation Tax Act. This means they will have to file returns, among other things, and pay a 10% corporate tax when instituted. Meanwhile, a 14-day consultative period for the draft model petroleum agreements began today, and stakeholders are encouraged to submit their feedback. Gerald Bryan, The Evening News.
Only a few months after Guyana launched the current oil block auction in December 2022, putting 14 areas offshore up for grabs, the government has confirmed that all 14 areas have received bids. Here is Gerald Bryan again with the details.
This was communicated by the Ministry of Natural Resources in a statement on Tuesday, where they also announced the release of the model production sharing agreements. In the statement, it was explained that all 14 blocks, which include 11 in the shallow area and 3 in the deep sea area, have received bids. They also announced that the bid round schedule will be extended. Previously, April 14, 2023 had been set as the deadline for the bid round. The government had also set a timeline for awarding the blocks in May 2023. However, this will now be extended. It was further noted that with the global interest in Guyana's oil blocks, the extension would allow for maximum participation. The sizes of the 14 oil blocks on auction range from 1,000 to 3,000 square kilometers. Successful bidders will be limited to no more than 3 blocks each. Among the fiscal terms for the blocks is a 10% royalty and 50-50 profit sharing after cost oil recovery. Meanwhile, Vice President Barry Jagdeo recently disclosed that Guyana is planning another auction of prospective oil field leases next year in order to maintain the pace of development. Jarrell Bryan, The Evening News.
Coming up, father of 4 dies in car crash near ESSEQUIBO Coast home, and NSERD improving literacy among students, as 17% of pupils experience reading disorders. Do stay with us. More news ahead.
It's the big taste you love. Devon Big Six. For when you want more. Devon Big Six. The biggest six in Guyana. More chocolate. More custard. More value. Devon Big Six. Put a smile on your face.
Play and win with Superbet. Visit an agent near you to play all your favorite games. Superbet, your best bet. Must be 18 years and older. Terms and conditions apply. Play responsibly.
It was a long car ride home, and Kyla started to crave the all-natural Ripples Crunch. Ah yes, that was all she could think about. She thought she was dreaming, but it seemed so real. Daydream or not, the craving still hit, and she couldn't wait to rip into it. Sunshine Snacks Ripples Chips. Rip into 100% real potato goodness.
Sunshine Snacks Ripples. Rip into real potato goodness.
Mobile lubricants is more than just oil. It's many oils. The blends of oil give you higher mileage. Choose from your advanced synthetic blend or conventional. It is the best oil for your engine.
Mobile lubricant is the best oil for newer engineering of engines. Newer engines are much more close tolerance. Thus, this oil has a variety of grades and build-up properties to suit these engineering. Mobile lubricant keeps the engine oil seals in a uniform order and condition. Mobile lubricants withstands longer drain intervals. Why is this? Mobile lubricants has a very high detergent in its oil, and once fully synthetic oil is used, we can achieve this.
So, whatever is your engine needs, choose Mobile lubricants. Proven performance for your engine.
Welcome back. You're watching the Evening News. A father of 4 who was also expecting his 5th child is now dead following a car crash a few streets away from his home at La Belle Alliance, ESSEQUIBO Coast in Region 2. Here are the details.
28-year-old Amos Christopher Lee of La Belle Alliance, ESSEQUIBO Coast, died after the car he was driving crashed into a culvert and then landed in a trench. The accident occurred at around 23 hours 20 on Tuesday, just a few streets away from his home. The man's wife, Stacy Candia, told the Evening News that she heard the impact of the crash.
I was up to urinate, and it was minutes to 12. I'm gonna check the time. And I went back to bed, and I heard this car pass, and then I heard a heavy impact. I didn't know it was who, but since I had a heavy impact in the village, I wanted to know what's good. So I hurry and come out the house, and by the time I reached halfway, the sister was already there. And she was like, no, Amos, mommy. When I reached there, his brother was taking him out from the car and put him inside the next car and take him to surgery.
At the time of the accident, the man was transporting a passenger, 20-year-old Aliyah Harris of Coffee Grove, who suffered injuries about her body. The woman told detectives that she was seated in the front passenger seat of the car and that the vehicle was moving at a fast rate of speed. She related that the driver suddenly lost control of the vehicle, resulting in the accident. Lee and the passenger were taken to the Saudi hospital where the driver died whilst receiving treatment. Lee worked as a carpenter and a taxi driver. He was a father of 4 children, and his partner of 12 years is currently pregnant with his 5th child.
Amos was everything to us. He's 28 years of age, but he was a man. He stand up to all his responsibility. He's a foundation for this family. He's a breadwinner. He's a farm husband, a farm father. You know, I might have to take it from here. It's my responsibility now to play a father role.
Investigations are ongoing.
Seeking redress is no longer a daunting task, as the local bodies responsible for consumer protection have improved their respective capacities to deal with cases of faulty goods on the market. In the Stacia Dickinson report, authorities are encouraging more shoppers to file complaints against errant businesses.
The Guyana National Bureau of Standards on Wednesday partnered with the Competition and Consumer Affairs Commission and the Department of Consumer Affairs to celebrate World Consumer Rights Day under the theme, Empowering Consumers Through Clean Energy Transitions. The 3 organizations hosted a pop-up expo at the Stabroek Market Square where they raised awareness about the work they do and consumers' rights. Speaking with the Evening News, Communications Officer of the Competition and Consumer Affairs Commission, Alison Parker, explained that last year, the body resolved more than 80% of all consumer complaints it received, the majority of which were about vehicles.
We're happy to report that for last year, we addressed 410 complaints to the value of over $107 million. We were able to resolve at the end of the year 87% of those complaints. What we saw was a spike in complaints in the auto industry. As at February, compared to the same period last year, we had a 108% increase in the number of complaints in terms of the auto industry. And so in our communication to the public, that's an area that we are focusing on, to say if you're going to buy a vehicle, if you're going to buy parts, take a mechanic, ensure you do your research before you engage in buying a vehicle, because that is our highest category of complaint, followed by electronics and appliances.
For the year so far, 110 complaints were received. The Commission is encouraging more persons to know about their rights and to hold businesses accountable for their actions. Meanwhile, Parker explained that the length of time it takes to resolve an issue varies.
It varies based on the type of complaint it is. You have from the same day to periods of a month or more, right? It depends on because let's say you come with a vehicle, you have a problem, you come to us, because not every complaint is valid. So you come to us with a complaint and you say, I bought this vehicle or I bought this item, a cell phone, whatever, and I am experiencing this problem. I'm experiencing a transmission problem. What we would want to do first, we have experts who work with us. We have to verify that it wasn't consumers' negligence and it is a valid manufacturer's defect. If it is that the expert recognizes that there is a problem with it's a manufacturer's defect, then we engage the supplier and seek redress on your behalf. Either you have what we like to call the 3 R's. You have the repair, replace, or refund. Right? So we go it in that process.
According to Parker, the Commission usually conducts weekly inspections to ensure that businesses are in compliance with the law.
Once we inspect, we inspect for compliance with the law. Once we find that you're not compliant, we share with you an excerpt of the act. We point out to you the areas where you're non-compliant, and we give you a month to fix it, and we come back in a month.
Tassia Dickinson for the Evening News.
Guyana on Wednesday used the opportunity of the 22nd Commonwealth Foreign Affairs Ministers meeting at Marlborough House, London, to update fellow Commonwealth nations on its border case against Venezuela, which is currently before the International Court of Justice. Gerald Bryan reports.
On Wednesday, the 22nd Commonwealth Foreign Affairs Ministers meeting got underway in London, bringing together 56 countries. Guyana's Minister of Foreign Affairs, Hugh Todd, who was present, used the occasion to highlight Guyana's policy direction, as well as to provide updates on its border case with Venezuela. He informed the meeting that the government is prioritizing democracy, good governance, and rule of law. Todd also informed his peers of the status of Guyana's case before the International Court of Justice. The ICJ is expected to rule on Venezuela's preliminary objections to Guyana's case in the first half of 2023. Further, Todd lauded the Commonwealth for its steadfast support of Guyana's efforts to preserve its territorial integrity. Meanwhile, chairman for the meeting and the Foreign Affairs Minister for Rwanda, Dr. Vincent Biruta, shared some of the expected outcomes of the meeting.
During this meeting, Ministers of Foreign Affairs of the Commonwealth will review the actions to take forward the commitments made during the last program held in Kigali in June 2022. We will, among others, explore additional measures that may be deployed to aid Commonwealth countries in accessing climate finance. And as mandated by leaders in Kigali at Program 2022, we will discuss the modernization of the Commonwealth and new ways of working together.
Guyana is a front-runner when it comes to accessing climate financing, being the first country to complete the hard process of certifying its forest carbon. Last year, Guyana signed a historic multi-year US $750 million agreement with Hess Corporation for the purchase of 37.5 million carbon credits. Gerald Bryan, The Evening News.
The National Center for Educational Resource Development, NCERD, of the Ministry of Education has emphasized that literacy improvement is high on its agenda, as statistics show that 17% of students may be experiencing a reading disorder. Andrew Carmichael tells us more.
Stakeholders in Region 6, East Berbice Quarantine, have participated in a 3-day conference aimed at improving literacy in the classrooms. Regional Literacy Coordinator attached to Region 6 Department of Education, Simon Prophet, explained that the objective was to strengthen teachers' ability in curriculum delivery. According to Prophet, the local education department is seeking to improve students' performance across the region.
And so we think that the best way to do this is by empowering our teachers. And so this literacy conference is geared in providing them with the relevant tools that would enable them to do this.
She said there are many children in the region with learning difficulties and need extra support in developing their literacy skills.
And that's what we're working towards.
Meanwhile, Director of the National Center for Research Development, NCERD, Kunika Waldron, explained that such training is vital since even as educators, monitoring officers, or policy makers, they need to keep upgrading their skills.
Because at the end of the day, as educators, we all should hold as a fundamental belief that learning is a lifelong process and that we too are not exempt from the benefit of further and more improved teaching.
The director emphasized that literacy improvement is high on the Ministry of Education's agenda.
As a sector, what I can say is that my colleagues are working very assiduously to ensure that reading opportunities or opportunities for literacy development come from both a top-down and bottom-up approach, where we're working at the grassroots level with parents and communities to increase opportunities for reading, where there's more material input in terms of the support from our ministry and departments of education to increase the number of books, be it books for reading, information, textbooks, that are available to students and teachers for use. And even from a policy imperative, we now have an entire department that's devoted to improving literacy performance across the country. So it's something that is treasured and held in very high esteem in terms of what the priorities are for the nation.
Some 100 teachers in Region 6, along with other educators, attended the training. It was disclosed that about 17% of students in the classrooms in Guyana may experience a reading disorder. For the Evening News, Andrew Carmichael.
And now for a look at the bridge reports.
There will be no retraction of the Demerara Harbor Bridge on Thursday, March 16th. Meanwhile, the Berbice River Bridge is scheduled to be closed on Thursday, March 16th at 11:25 hours for a period of 1.5 hours.
Kashif and Shanghai futsal tourney to kick off on Easter Sunday and a GOA election postponed after a fraud debate. Details of these stories and more in this podcast, sponsored by MacCorp, coming up on the other side of the break.
Looking to bring your dream home to reality? Or simply taking on a home improvement project? Then National Hardware Limited is where you should start. Let us put that touch to your home. Choose from over 1,000 Berger Paint original hues for any surface. We are known for our trusted brands such as Westinghouse, Philips, Sadco, Rubbermaid, Pyrex, Gibson Home, and so much more. National Hardware Limited, your do-it-best store. Located in downtown Georgetown and industrial site Rhymeville.
John Lewis Styles has opened a new department, now offering home goods. Here you can find quality sheets and towels, pillows, blankets, and even bath mats and shower curtains. Organize your laundry with clothes baskets, fabric steamers, irons, and ironing boards. For the kitchen we have small appliances, towels and mittens, pot sets and dinner sets too. Decorate the house with mirrors, picture frames, floating shelves, and decorative pillows. All these and more on Waterloo Street. It's fashion for the home. John Lewis Styles. Simply different.
Moving, lifting, or bending, whatever the job, we at Sylvie's Variety Store have the right tools to make it happen. Pallet jacks and hand trucks for bonds and industrial sites, easy pickup and convenient maneuvers. Chain hoist from Roughneck and Northern Industrial, the perfect solution to lifting heavy objects. And then there's the 12-ton and 16-ton hydraulic pipe benders from 1/2 to 2 inch. We also stock the shop press machine from Northern Industrial. Sylvie's Variety Store stocks the tools to make it happen.